This last year, it was almost apocalyptic. The smoke in the streets, you couldn't see from one side of the street to the other because there was so much smoke in town.
It was pretty devastating because most people here had about 45 minutes to get out, so it was pretty traumatic and immediate.
Hi, Sophie. How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you, too. "2023 was a pretty unprecedented wildfire season. It was one of the most destructive we've ever had. The impact and the size of these wildfires is increasing. And yeah, we can see those averages growing over time.
Do you know why they're getting large in size?
Yeah, we've got a lot more dry fuel to burn, more frequent lightning strikes, so more storms that are causing fires. And then we're having this dry, hot, windy weather that pushes those flames around and allows the wildfires to grow in different directions and become more unpredictable. You know, it was wild. I was living in Jasper and we were having over 30-degree temperatures at the end of April, which is unheard of there. And forest fires were starting, even earlier than our forest fire fighting teams were ready and prepared and trained. So nearby towns were being evacuated, roads closed before anyone had even begun to think about preparing for wildfires.
A lot of quick decision making, I guess, in the end.
For sure.
Thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thanks so much for talking with me, Sophie, and I'm really looking forward to you going out there and seeing it for yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're out here in British Columbia, a province that was affected by the forest fires over the past few months. We're going to be meeting up with a professional skier and hiking guide that's going to tell us more about the recent events. Hello.
Hi, Sophie.
Nice to meet you.
You as well. Welcome to Revelstoke.
Thank you so much.
My name's Nat Siegel. I am a professional skier, an apprentice hiking guide, and a film producer. We're currently in Revelstoke, and this is the homeland of the Sinixt, and it's also used by the Secwepemc, the Silks Okanagan, and the Ktunaxa nations. And we're actually going to be heading down towards Salmon Arm and Chase, and we're visiting my friend Dale. He's part of the Squilix band, the Little Shuswap Lake band, and they had a really, really big fire down there this summer, which was so big it actually crossed the highway at certain places. And so we'll be able to see some of the burn just from the highway, but the extent is way further than that.
Okay, wow.
This is the first time I've actually seen any of this area. I'm driven through it.
Hey guys. Nice to meet you. Sophie, Dale.
Hey!
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Welcome to Squilix.
Thank you so much.
Wyatt Dale Toma and Squest to Revelstoke Mamuntwin to Saketwa Stakwan. My name is Dale Toma. I now live in Revelstoke, but I'm from the Secwepemc territory. Yeah, so we had some wildfires burning up north in the Adams Lake and Bush Creek area. They were known as two separate fires, but then they conjoined and got bigger. And now, we're a couple months later and people are still displaced. Historically, we've always had fire. It's a very natural thing, and we worked with it since time immemorial. And just in my life looking, we used to have fires maybe every 10 years, and really big ones a little bit longer than that. And now it seems like we're having 100-year fires every year or every other year. In a traditional way, we looked at a lot of the same aspects that prescribed fire looks at on when and how and where to burn. We had all those practices. The thing is, the people of the land that know the land best haven't been on the land and able to practice in the same methods that they have been doing for so long. we're looking at, all our relatives here that, they're also displaced. Not only our people, but our animal relatives. None of our hunters are hunting in any of these areas because a lot of the animals have been lost or injured, and we need to just think of them first. And we're looking at many different ways on how we move forward with things like forest industry and resource industry, and seeing how Western and Indigenous science can come together to make our future livable.
It's very interesting to see your sort of perspective. I don't think we hear a lot of, somebody that is from the area, and also like ongoing, like where are we going from here? And
out of a bad situation, at least hopefully some positives come out,
For sure.
That's what we always hope for.
So yesterday we met up with Dale in Squalax, the area he grew up in. It was very interesting to hear about his relationship with the land, the forest, the ecosystem as a whole. And it was more so shocking to hear about also how quickly the fires were changing and evolving, and how little time they had to evacuate in some of the areas. And today we're actually gonna go meet up with Nat, and we're gonna go hiking in another area closer to Revelstoke, but a bit more remote.
So Sophie, this is a Forest Service road, and we're heading up in the Monashi Mountains for the hiking trail of Mount English. We still have a little bit of snow hanging on, so we might find some of that, but it looks like a really sunny day, so I think it's going to be a nice hike. The mountains that surround Revelstoke are pretty incredible. We are really close to some amazing backcountry skiing, and so I chose to come out here 6 years ago. This will be my 7th summer.
So we just started hiking. We're gonna go a bit higher up of the area that was a bit burnt, but that'll be very interesting to also see it, from above, and hopefully get some nice views as well while we're up there.
It would have been a very smart idea to bring hiking poles today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how close the burn is to all these non-burnt trees.
Right.
I think one thing that I've noticed since moving to Revelstoke in BC is that I didn't really understand how the wildfires impacted towns like Revelstoke. It makes it really hard to be outside, whether you're an outdoor professional or someone just living in a small rural town. We are constantly having to work around fires, and at times at some of the backcountry lodges in the Alpine I work at, the lodges are actually threatened by fires. So Sophie, thanks for coming out with us. We're in a burn that happened in 2021. We've had to drive for a while and hike to get here, but these fires are really visible from town, and the smoke has a big effect on our communities.
So as a wildfire fighter based out of Revelstoke, I worked on this fire kind of later on. Clearly has blown through here and climbed up into the Alpine behind us.
That's super interesting. And when you first come to these areas, maybe more intervening as a firefighter, and how would you say you can interact again with these areas more from an outdoors perspective in terms of hiking, climbing, skiing, even in these areas?
I mean, obviously there's the negative aspects of this is a large-scale burn, there's a lot of carbon released and smoke, and causes a lot of these trees to be weakened. But the positives are when it burns, it takes away a lot of those fine fuels, and this now opens up a whole lot of access that wasn't so easy to do before.
So how would you suggest outdoor enthusiasts that are coming out in these areas that maybe are more prone to burns or any other ecological events, what should they keep in mind when they come out in nature?
Yeah, I think something I really resonate with is what Dale sort of said about, when we're in the outdoors or anywhere where we have plants and other animals, like they're our cousins, and that we really need to consider them as well as us and where we are. When you realize that you're in a place that has been stewarded by a group of people for thousands of thousands, like time immemorial, knowing that someone else has spent so much time there looking after it, I think we act a little bit differently. And so it's my first thought is where are you? Whose land are you on? Who lives here? And try and learn a little bit about the land so that you can then take action to look after it. some of the strongest action I can have is sharing what I've learned in the mountains with people who are maybe unaware of it or interested to learn more. Spend time wanting to protect places or learning to love them. We can share that love of them with other people and they'll want to protect it as well. So the forest fires that we experience in British Columbia are really devastating. They've affected an untold number of people personally, but I think that we're going through a climate emergency and I think the wildfires really wake people up. And it's hard to be desensitized to something like a wildfire when it's in your backyard.
We can tackle it from both sides. We'll never stop forest fires, but if we can slow climate change and slow forest fires, they can kind of help each other. And at the same time, we can control human-caused fires. We have an ability to stop those. So making sure when we are outdoor that we are not creating forest fires is a top one for sure.
Well, one of the things we can take away just is, really knowing that it's not just a West Coast problem. It's not just California, it's not just BC. It happened in the East this year, and hopefully some of those decision makers will have seen that and been affected by it. If there's only one good thing that comes out of all of this stuff, that would be my hope.
One of the major things for me is that fire is a natural part of the landscape, and there will continue to be fire no matter what we do. So I feel like the more educated everyone can become, then firefighting practices and recreation practices and forestry and ecology can all come together in a more cohesive whole that allows better stewardship of the land that we have.